Welcome to PJD Guitars. We're going to give you a bit of a factory tour. If you'd like to follow me, we can get started.
The wood turns up from various places in the world, all gets delivered here, and it's come from a different climate, so it needs to sit, it needs to get used to being here. It has to acclimatise.
So all the wood comes in as raw lumber. We then plane it and joint it.
When the body wood comes in, it's cross-cut into the correct size for one of our body blanks. That will then sit on the shelf because it's been cut. You've made a cut, it releases tension, it's going to move, so it sits on the shelf. Every time you do something to it, it's got to sit and relax before you can go on to the next stage.
So once the wood is down to the correct dimensions, it's then ready to go onto the CNC machine. Now we've got a couple of different programs, obviously for different shapes and models that we do. The majority of them are in fact chambered, regardless if they have an F-hole or not. This obviously affects the weight of the instrument as well as the tonality of it.
So once it's been chambered, it looks something like that. It's got all the cavities inside the body, all the wiring cavities and everything. Once we've got that, we'll glue on a top. If it's a standard model, we will put an ash top on it to match the bodywood. If it is a elite or a limited, we'll put something a bit fancier on it, like quilted or flame mahogany. At the minute we're doing a lot of flames stuff. It's got some really beautiful stuff on there. By the time that gets stained, the flame really pops out and it looks amazing. It's really gorgeous. We always try and, Leigh does a really good job of finding some amazing wood for us to work with.
We use anything from swamp ash to mahogany to Spanish cedar for the bodywood, and then for the necks we use roasted maple, which basically means it's exactly what it says, it's been roasted, so it stabilises it, crystallises any resins or anything in it and just makes a more stable neck.
Once the neck comes off the CNC machine, although it looks like it's finished, it's still got quite a lot of handwork that goes into it. So we need to do quite a bit of shaping with rasps and sanding just to get it down to its final dimensions.
Now this one's not finished yet, obviously, but this is straight off the CNC. I mean, it's quite a lot of material to take off before it gets to this stage. But yeah, it's a fun process, the neck. There's lots to do on it. So.
Well, we plan to take 3.5 hours per guitar to sand it before we're ready to send it upstairs. Each piece of wood is different. Sometimes it'll take Chris an extra 45 minutes just to work around something and just to make sure it's all coming out nicely. So if it's got a peculiar knot or a strange piece of grain, tear out, yeah, all just caused by a natural material.
That's really what the idea of PJD was. It was hand-built, amazing guitars at price points which you thought weren't really achievable. And we did that through some really clever things like standardising finishes.
Around 70% of our guitars actually receive aniline dye, which is a water-based stain. We apply this by hand, and then a lot of the bursts are done with an airbrush. It gives a more natural look to it, and I prefer this personally to kind of traditional lacquered sunbursts. And
standardising and almost having a production line process applied to things like fretting, which you can't really get away from the idea that when you hand fret something it's one person sitting down and fretting it, but what you can do is obviously work in batches and rinse and repeat. It's pretty rough going for the guy doing it, however it produces brilliant results fairly quickly compared to one artisan builder sitting there and struggling over one neck for, you know, half a day a day.
The first fretting, seated nicely. I will then trim the ends off once I've done them all. And then only another 21 of them to go now.
I'm now assembling the guitar. So basically from this moment on we literally connect the neck, put the hardware on, the tuners, everything else, do all the electronics for it. String them up, wire them up, set them up, send them out.
We're certainly not a boutique one-man show anymore, but we want that quality of that to still be a thing with our guitars. We want to be able to, you know, build guitars that are affordable for people, but, you know, don't cut any of the quality that you would get with a hand-built one-off instrument. And that's what we're really trying to do here.
Sounds good.